What's up? You are now listening to Americanized, a storytelling podcast where you'll hear from eclectic first and second generation Americans share their stories and real life experiences as children of immigrants. This is your host Rosalind, and in this episode you will hear from Michaell. Michaell is an artist whose neurodiversity doesn't quite fit the systems. While overcoming his challenges, Michaell discovered the power of human-centricity, or in other words, being human-centered while looking deep within our cores way past our physical differences. His goal is to increase human-centric awareness. Keep on listening to learn more about Michaell's discoveries. So, Michaell, I wanted to say your last name, but I will mess it up.
No worry, Magrutsche. It's not important. My artist name is Michaell, so it's not,
Yeah, okay. So Michaell, thank you so much for being on Americanized. So you are an artist. Can you share a little bit about what your art is? What is art to you and how do you execute?
So I was a sick child. I was born a sick child. I went to school at 7 and I got the second punch in my face, which was I'm extremely neurodivergent. I'm dyslexic, dysgraphic, and dyscalculia. So I'm all this, I switch up numbers. I have a hand coordination issue. So when I write, for example, I met Rosalind and we talked about monkeys, and I cannot get when I look at that tomorrow, I cannot get the context of what I wrote unless I write in caps. And then also I was stuttering a lot. I couldn't read. I wrote 8 books and, published 5, and I need to listen to the computer read it to me. I can't read it myself. I can read a text or something, but I lose the context. My brain scatters all around. And so what I could do, so I couldn't fit in school, right? I did 6 years and I had to repeat 2 to have the 6 years. So I was 8 years in school, and it was very hard. I was like cut off, right? Because everybody goes, all my friends and everybody goes to school, and I was cut off. And what happened was I loved music. I loved music, and that was for all the adolescents, right? For all of us, when we have a hard time becoming from a child to become an adult, and we all escape into films, music, paintings, colors, because it gives us feedback that isn't system relevant. It gives us our own feedback from our friends or us, hey, Rosalind, you did a really great t-shirt. Wow, that's great. And that's an appreciation of your being, of your one-on-oneness, right? And this is what art does. Art gives you an instant feedback from your expression. And when you're depressed and you can express yourself, the opposite of depression is expression, then you get feedback. And I never was insecure or anything because of my art creation. And I'm not a fan of the art product, because when the art creation is done, it becomes a commodity. Then the society says, that's good music or that's bad music. Yeah. Right. And so when you say, I'm not for Taylor Swift music, then they say, why? Everybody loves it. Because 1 billion people say they love it, and saying that doesn't make them right. You know what I mean? You got to resonate with it. You are one of oneness of 8 billion people. Doesn't matter what color you have and what gender you are. It is irrelevant. You are one soul in this expression of whatever, and of 8 billion. So it's always an honor to meet another soul that is one of 8 billion for me. And so in the dance with those souls, you find the synergistic fit, because that's why nature made us one of one. Nature didn't say all women are the same, all men. I've never seen the same woman ever. So all men are the same, all women are the same, all genders are the same. No, that's all outdated system forcing you, they don't want to update systems. So because it's expensive, it's not expensive, but they say So they won't want to update the system. And so they say, no, the world functions without systems. Interracial, everything is, you're bi, you're trans, you're whatever. Everybody dances with each other. But in systems, you have to be defined. And it's a defined that's outdated, because the definition should be in systems, we are, everybody's one-on-one, instead of, oh, this is a white male that is gay, for example, or that is transsexual, whatever. It doesn't need to be defined. The definition segregates us. It's all about dance. All the animals that dance and find which one fits. Oh, you like this friend, and tomorrow you like another friend. And just like, it's a dance. That's why nature made us one-on-one, because in that dance, when we find ourselves, we'll learn and expand and grow.
Okay, one-on-one. Oh, you're saying one-on-one.
One of one. One of one.
Okay.
But your unique is too generalized even. One of one. There's only one of 8 billion people. So if you think you're not worth anything, sorry. Take it up with nature or God and see, they made you one of 8 billion. And you say, I'm not worthy of anything? No. You can't say that, because you're one of one.
Okay, kind of like saying one of a kind. Yeah, got it.
One of a kind. One of a kind of 8 billion. Imagine this.
It's wild. It's a lot to think about and to digest when you really take the time to think of.
Take the time and think about it, then you never engage another human, which is, stupid.
Okay, so it sounds like your work is to see people truly as, them being one of one.
Yeah.
One of a kind, seeing them for their true selves. And when you were saying, you're kind of letting go of the molds and the titles and the things that society likes to use to bring people together or to separate people. And it reminded me of the term color blindness when talking about race.
It's always that you're dark and I'm light.
Yes.
We don't need to discuss that or get into that. Is so non sequitur to say, oh, wow, you are a different color than me. Wow, what are you going to do? This is insane. Why would we even talk about this?
Yeah, I see both sides. I do.
You're living that system wrath of segregating, and also you're a woman too. So it's not only the color, you're a woman too. So that's also, women are always secondary. It's the man that are the strong. It's ridiculous. There's no strong man without a woman. There's no strong man.
So I'm working on, shifting my mind to place you and to have this conversation. And then it's like easy for me to say, being a woman of color and being Black and how we do experience different things because of, these systems, because of the system. So how do you, have you had conversations like that? Like, race is an important thing to talk about. It's an important thing to acknowledge, because there are experiences that a person may have because of their race, because of the system over our heads, right?
Yeah, it's not, when you look at your life, right? And not that I don't know your life, you have your own life, but I'm looking at my life. I see kids, especially younger people, they're all hanging out with each other, Hispanics, any race or color or gender, right? But then when it comes to voting, all of a sudden everything goes, because then it's a system, how to fit into the system. Then they make their own opinion about something or whatever. This is the problem with news. News is its own system that is dependent on politics. They're codependent. So the news points out the exceptions, not the rule. So what the news does, it selects the exceptions. Is there racism? Absolutely. I'm not saying there's no racism, but that is system conditioned humans that believe when they are going by the system, then they are more worthy, that they are not worth anything. If I think, you are different than me and I have to point that out, that's racism, I see that you are different color, that you're different gender. I see that, but it is secondary because I'm focusing on your one-on-oneness. So it's secondary. It's like you having on a white shirt and I have a red shirt on. So what?
Yeah.
That's all. It boils down to exactly that. You have a white shirt, I have a thing. You wear a bracelet, I wear a scarf. But the news is doing where humans developed, from our class segregation and all that stuff. We developed from that. And it always pulls back in the past, to bring that up to the surface. And that is horrible. When they started the wall in Israel, between Palestine and Israel, what happened? You had an increase in marriage of Palestinians and Jews, the highest increase ever. Nobody talks about this because you can't deny your feelings. If I fall in love with you, it doesn't matter what color and gender and whatever you are. When you and I vibrate with each other, it doesn't matter. What does it matter? But the news needs attention and needs to say what's for us humans very uncomfortable, because racism is for the most people uncomfortable, or saying you are fat, or saying, this is uncomfortable for us, because we all have a skinny friend and a plumper friend, right? And they're funny, and we don't even think about this. But every time it comes to election or seeing news, that is generated, in us. And that's horrible. That's horrible because it segregates us. If I define you, then it segregates me. You are a human to me, not a woman, not black, not white, no green. You are one of one. That to me, not, I see a zebra, but it's an animal. It's an animal like a giraffe. It's a different animal,
Okay. So it sounds similar to like when people are doing like meditation, mindfulness, when they are like they'll have a feeling, they acknowledge it. They're told to acknowledge their feelings, but not to judge them. So you are acknowledging my differences, but you're not judging them.
And I don't call myself colorblind either. Because if I call myself colorblind, then I have to be I have to be something against. I'm human, because I was not system relevant ever. So for me, that's why I'm so strongly human-centric, because I could never fit in. So I know how you feel in a certain extent, because what it is to not fit in.
Okay. When did this human-centric develop, and how did you get into it? Just tell me more about it.
When I wrote the book, The Smart of Art, because I suffered my whole life not fitting in, right? Just making enough money to survive, and just like could not get jobs and whatever. So I was very upset, because art is, can you imagine a life without art? A world without art?
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So it's also our expression, our unique, the unique expression, there's me, and this is my art, and that's you, this is your art. So it's an expression also, and it's a much higher expression that you can actually, as an image, express, because it's on a different level. It's on a vibrational level. Often you see art and it bewitches you, and then you meet the artist and say, oh my God, what a crazy person that is, but because it shows you a different, one is the conditioned life, your physical conditioned, system conditioned, fitting in the system, being system relevant. And the other one is your expression. And often in art, you see people express themselves so wonderfully, and they say, where's this coming? This person is crazy. But you see the bigger picture of that person. Or what very often happens is when people said, Rosalind, we know each other for 10 years now, Rosalind. I didn't say that, but I'm a musician too. I said, what, Michaell? Show me. I want to listen to it, right? We know each other, we're friends, and it gives you a total, it totally changes your perception of me. It confirms it or it changes it. And because you are interacting with me, I'm sensitive or whatever. But then you say, now that confirms, that makes it so clear. Everything makes you clear when you see the art of somebody. It makes it just clearer. And that's why the art creation is so magical, not the product. The product is just a commodity that you can like or not, like a pink bike or a red bike. So when I did this, I was so upset, because artists worldwide, I have friends that live in a car. Artists are feeling so are poor on the poverty, around the poverty level, all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which is because they are very depressed because they have such magical experience creating the art. And says, how can Rosalind not like my art? How can that be? I had this magic in creation, and it all came to me, and I felt like one with the universe and created this beautiful statue, clothes, whatever. And I thought everybody will want to buy it, and they don't. So it's a very unsatisfactory business. So you need to segregate art creation from art product, because the moment your art creation is finished, it turns into a commodity. Mm-hmm. Because people don't see the magic. Some very sensitive people see the magic in things, but you are the one that experienced the artist. So I wrote that, and that brought me into the system relevance and human centricity. It's the creation of art, right? And then the system relevance is only how much they paid for, how much they pay for that art as a commodity. And that brought me in the same. And then I said, oh my God, this the whole world we are upside down. We need to be, because without humans, systems are irrelevant. It doesn't matter how good the system. Google. Who needs Google when there's no humans? Who needs being Microsoft, being United States without humans? But reversed, if we have no systems, it's going to be harder, obviously, because we are so used to the systems. But we can do it. We can do it. We will prevail, and we will help each other like we're supposed to. I mean, look at 9/11. Look at this, what happened, how we rebuild all the systems, we rebuild everything. And there was such an incredible connection also with COVID. There formed so many unbelievable, limitless connections with humans, and what humanity can actually provide.
Yeah, I loved how you're emphasizing like the art process as opposed to the finished product, because that's all that we see, like when we go to a museum or an art gallery. This weekend I'm going to an art show, and I'll be like appreciating a lot of art. Yeah. I have a lot of artists in my family, and I have a lot of appreciation for the arts, and I always feel for artists who have this tremendous talent, but their talent doesn't match, what they'd get paid for. That's why a starving artist is the term, because it just doesn't match. It doesn't compare.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's a giving to humanity. Every artist gives to humanity, but they don't see it because they say, hey, I can't live. I love this. I give to humanity. I do all this stuff. I can't live of that. And that's the importance that because our financial system is so outdated. It says it's never enough no matter what you do, right? Mm-hmm. You're making $10,000 today. That's good, Rosalind. But tomorrow you made 120. And, it's never enough. And the enoughness is that we are humans, because nature makes no mistakes. See, we can't discuss human worth and value by saying, no, it's never enough. And if you don't fit the system, like I do, if you don't fit the system, what the system allows you to be, then you're not surviving.
Right, exactly. So two things. I'm really curious about just like your day-to-day or day in a life of Michaell, and then I do want to get into your out-of-the-box upbringing that you experience. So present day Michaell, what is your
thing is right now? I lost my home, and I looking for going through all the systems. So I'm forced actually to interact with all the systems to get back on my feet. And I just got 65. So I had problems with my Medicare and Medi-Cal. So I had to sort that out. And so I'm doing this, but I need to do what I'm good at, talking to people, expressing myself. So I always sneak in some podcasts, and I'm living currently in a hotel because it just hit me everything at the same time, which is fine. I can handle it. But I learn a tremendous amount. I don't see difficulties in life as something bad. I think that is always a challenge to make you better. And I am pretty in touch with my life. So I lived 65 years, and I always got through. And I got one crisis after the other. My ex-wife had bilateral breast cancer that brought us into bankruptcy, and we never did anything crazy. I always got through, and I learned tremendously, and that's why my perspective of life is so powerful, because it forced me to be human-centric, because humans helped me. Never that the systems didn't save me ever.
No.
So always other humans that said, "Hey, let me help you out. Let me give you a job. And then it was good. I never was fired at a job. I was good,
Yeah.
So
that is a quote. Systems will fail you. Yeah.
Yeah. But because they're outdated. I love systems. I mean, think about this. You're going to the old systems, right? The churches, the synagogues, the temples. You're going in this. It's magic. There's a feeling in it. There's a thing, and it's like a collaborative artwork. That's what systems should be. Not that you go into any bureaucracy and you say, "Oh my God, I'm lost." They should be our artworks where they say, "Oh, Rosalind, Michael, hey, come in. Let me help you. What do you need?" Blah, blah, blah. It should be very human. But they're taking the humans out of systems, because systems are dependent on repetitive work. And every repetitive work is going to be exchanged by AI. And AI doesn't care if you understand it or not. It doesn't care. It's pretty much for neurodiverse, especially for us. I need a human to talk to, whatever I need to in the system. And the systems, that's too complicated, and they don't even know about neurodiversity and all that stuff. So they say, "Hey, this is what we do, and take what we have, and or else." And that's what I'm working right now, where I say a disability is not to take from the system, to be supported by the system. A disability does only your one of oneness, where that you can actually function in society as good as you can. So when you cut off your 2 feet, a cut off is something that you can actually function, that you can actually move, navigate. A disability is not something, it's a cost factor, and that human is not valuable. No, the human is super valuable when you give him an environment or a space, which we can. That's why we made systems. So we made that this person can contribute, and not just saying, "No, now you're in the wheelchair, now you don't get a job. Now you're dyslexic, now you can't, work. Or you're old, you can't get a job."
Yeah.
You kill the spirit of that person. That person needs to express himself. So a job should actually, this is all the update we need to do. A job should something where your abilities shine, But for example, I'm really, my ability on podcasts and talking human-centrically, it's very powerful. No money in podcasting, as you know. 1% makes 98% of the income of all podcasts. But it's human-centrically so rewarding for my soul and your soul, for us to exchange. That's why we do it. We do it for free because it expands your perspective of life and mine. Exactly. That's a superpower. That's magic.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. And you're speaking my language when you say disability. So I'm an occupational therapist and I work at a school. Yeah. So earlier when you were talking about dysgraphia and dyslexia, I'm like,
yeah, you know that. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. That helps.
Yeah. Yes, I get it. That's my language. And so when talking about disability, I always say it, this is my mindset, instead of saying, oh, there's someone who, they have disability, they're not able to do X, Y, Z. It's more so, I look at it as somebody who has special abilities. And then being an OT, we are so adaptive and creative, and like, how can they function? What do they need to function? How can we adapt the way they do something, their environment, their clothes, like whatever they need. So I totally understand that humanness and being human-centric and that just being supportive and helpful through a creative lens.
Yeah, but you get rewarded because that when you help somebody that is systemically not okay, right? I mean, you get even rewarded having me on because I'm systemically, quote unquote, not okay, right? I'm not system relevant, whatever. And then you learn and say, oh my God, every human is system relevant. Every human is relevant because they can contribute with something. Mm-hmm. But it took me 52 or 3 years to find out that I have something to contribute. Mm. You know, I wasn't aware because I'm, older. I'm 65, and I wasn't. The awareness wasn't that much. I was diagnosed with dyslexia, only dyslexia. They didn't even know at that time that there's dysgraphia and dyscalculia. Yeah. So I was when I was 5, right? That's when I was diagnosed. When I was 7 when I went to school. Yeah. So when I was 7, there was no difference. If I stutter, okay, you stutter, but you have to still read. There was no difference. They just said we define you as dyslexia. Mm-hmm. But there was no change in anything. There was no advantage in grades. No, at that time, no, because we were unaware. That's why I say awareness is the most valuable for human is awareness, because then we can ask questions and then we can actually adapt the systems to update. Right. So exactly. So we need to be aware first. Mm-hmm. And when people resonate with the awareness, then we can ask the right questions, and then we can update the systems, and everybody wins. There's nobody that loses. Systems don't lose when you update systems, because ultimately you pay more if you stay outdated than when you actually function, and you will get more money when you function. A functioning system, a life system, will get more money than an outdated system that everybody hates.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's more so using our human-centric mindset to create better systems. It's not like one or the other.
Yeah, it's both. We function nonlinear, right? Nature and humans are nonlinear. And so it's not what's better, what's not. That natural is nonlinear, but linear is in systems, because they are our artworks. And in the artwork of systems, church or office or government, we need to have rules and regulations to navigate through them.
Thank you so much for listening. Michael and I will continue our conversation in the next episode. Stay tuned. All original music produced by Stubborn Soul. You can find him on all music listening platforms at STBRNSAL.